All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling something super important, I think, mental health, and specifically how self-awareness can play a key role in, well, just living a better life.
Absolutely. We've got this really fascinating piece we're diving into today. It does a great job of breaking down these, kind of complex topics.
Yeah, it's really insightful. And I love the analogy it uses, comparing our minds to a garden. A garden needs the right conditions to thrive. It needs
It,
tending.
exactly. And that's where self-awareness comes in, right? It's like having that trusty trowel and all the other tools you need to really understand the soil, plant the right seeds, that kind of thing.
Perfect analogy. So let's dig in. The source we're looking at today starts by laying out what it calls the three pillars of mental health.
Right. Emotional well-being, psychological resilience, and social connections. They're like the foundation of a healthy mind.
Okay, so let's break those down a bit. Emotional well-being is it basically like being able to handle your emotions, not letting them totally control you.
Yeah, pretty much. It's about being able to recognize and understand your emotions, even the tough ones like sadness, anger, or anxiety. And more importantly, learning how to manage them effectively so they don't, completely overwhelm you.
So it's not about pretending those feelings aren't there, but more about like learning how to ride the waves.
Exactly. It's about developing healthy coping mechanisms and strategies for dealing with those emotions in a constructive way.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's resilience. What exactly does that mean in terms of mental health?
Resilience is your ability to bounce back from setbacks, to adapt to change, to cope with difficult situations. It's that inner strength that helps you keep going even when things get tough.
So it's not about never experiencing challenges, but about having the tools to navigate them, like building up those mental muscles.
Yes, precisely. And the source makes a great point about how building resilience involves developing coping mechanisms and strategies. It's about having that toolbox, like you said, filled with techniques that work for you.
Right. And it sounds like social connections play a big role in that too.
Absolutely. That's the third pillar. And the source really emphasizes how interconnected all three of these elements are. Strong social connections like having close friends and family you can rely on can be a huge buffer when you're facing difficult emotions or stressful situations.
It's like having a support system to help you through those rough patches.
Yeah.
Makes you realize you don't have to go it alone, right?
Exactly. And those connections can actually help build your resilience. Like if you're going through a tough time, having someone to talk to, someone who listens and offers support can help you process those emotions and bounce back faster.
Makes sense. And it makes you think about how all aspects of our lives can impact our mental health,
Yeah.
like what we eat, how much we sleep, even the environment we're in.
Oh, for sure. The source even mentions some really interesting research about how spending time in nature can be beneficial for mental well-being. Like just 15 minutes a day of sunlight can make a difference in your mood. Think of it as a free mood booster.
I'm all about free mood boosters. But I think there's a bigger piece we haven't talked about yet. How do we even know what our minds need to thrive? That's where self-awareness comes in.
Right, you got it. That's the real key. The source defines self-awareness as having a deep understanding of yourself, your character, your feelings, your motivations, even your desires. It's about knowing who you are at your core.
So it's like having this inner compass that can guide you through life.
Exactly. And without it, you're kind of wandering around aimlessly, bumping into things, not really understanding why you're reacting the way you are.
Sounds kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know self-awareness is important, but how does it actually translate into a healthier, happier life? What are the benefits?
Well, the source breaks it down into three main areas: improved emotional regulation, stronger relationships, and better decision making.
Okay, yeah, I can see how those all tie back to that inner compass idea. So tell me more about emotional regulation. How does self-awareness help with that?
Imagine you're in a situation that's making you angry, right? If you're self-aware, you can recognize those feelings of anger bubbling up before they take over. You can hit that pause button, before you say or do something you might regret later.
It's about creating that space between feeling and reacting.
That's it. And the source even suggests some practical techniques for doing that, like deep breathing exercises. Just taking a few deep breaths can help calm your nervous system and give you a chance to respond more thoughtfully.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And what are relationships? How does being self-aware make you a better partner, friend, family member, all of that?
Well, when you understand yourself better, your communication style, your strengths and weaknesses, you're able to connect with others on a deeper level. You can be more empathetic, more understanding, and you can navigate conflicts more effectively because you're not just reacting blindly to your emotions.
It's like you're speaking the same language, even when things get tough.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And when it comes to decision making, self awareness can be huge. The source tells this really interesting anecdote about someone who's feeling unfulfilled in their career. They took the time to really reflect on their values, their passions, what truly mattered to them. And through that process of self discovery, they realized they needed to make a change.
Wow, that's inspiring. It sounds like self-awareness can be a powerful tool for personal growth, but it all sounds a bit abstract. Do you have any practical tips for, like, actually becoming more self-aware? Where do we even start?
Yeah, that's a great question. And luckily, the source offers some concrete suggestions. One of the simplest but most effective is journaling. Just taking a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts and feelings can be incredibly insightful.
I've got to admit, I used to think journaling was kind of cheesy, but I actually started doing it a few months ago, and
Mm.
it really helps. Like, just getting all those thoughts out of my head and onto paper, it helps me process things in a different way.
Exactly. And there's actually research showing that journaling can reduce stress and anxiety. It's like having a conversation with yourself, but on paper.
Right. And it's private. You don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks. So journaling is one tool. What else does the source recommend?
Another great practice is mindfulness meditation. Have you ever tried that?
I've dabbled in it. Sometimes I'm better at it than others, but yeah, the idea is to just focus on the present moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even just a few minutes of mindful breathing each day can help you become more aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your bodily sensations, all without judgment. It's like training your mind to be more present and less reactive.
So taking that time to pause and really tune in to what's going on inside, that's key. The source also talks about the importance of getting feedback from others.
Right. Yeah, that can be really helpful. Sometimes we have blind spots, things we don't see about ourselves that others might notice. So asking for feedback from trusted friends, family members, or mentors can give you a different perspective.
Yeah, true. But maybe choose those feedback givers wisely. Not all opinions are created equal. But speaking of knowing ourselves and our limits, the source also talks about the importance of boundaries. Remember our garden analogy. Even the most thriving gardens need fences to protect them, right?
Right. And self-awareness helps us set those boundaries in our own lives to protect our mental well-being. For example, let's say you're feeling overwhelmed at work. If you're self-aware, you'll recognize those feelings and hopefully communicate your limits to your boss or colleagues. Maybe you need to delegate some tasks or take a break to avoid burnout.
Yeah, it's about recognizing when we need to step back and recharge.
Exactly. And that actually ties back to all three pillars we discussed earlier. Setting boundaries protects your emotional well-being, helps you build resilience by preventing burnout, and allows you to show up more fully in your social connections.
It's amazing how it all connects like a beautiful web. So to wrap up this deep dive, I think the main takeaway is that self-awareness is this incredibly powerful tool for creating a healthier and happier life.
I couldn't agree more. And I love how the source ends with this thought-provoking question. Think back to a recent decision you made. How did your level of self-awareness at that moment influence the outcome?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'll be pondering that for a while. It reminds us that this journey of self-discovery and growth, it's ongoing. Every step we take toward greater self-awareness is a step toward a more fulfilling life. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep tending to those mental health gardens.
Beautifully said. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.